In the story of Dragon Ball, there are plenty of alien races which populate the various planets in the multiverse. We're introduced to plenty through the series: humans, Namekians, Saiyans, demons, and others that aren't even classified. But there persists a phenomenon that we've seen in a couple of races which highlights one of Dragon Ball's most prominent unspoken features: mutants. Now, we've actually seen mutants before. We see quite a bit actually during the Namek and Frieza arcs. Zarbon, Dodoria, the Ginyu Force, and even Frieza himself are all mutants of their species, based on the Dragon Ball definition of what a mutant is. So, the idea of a mutant can be summed up as an individual of a specific race which has a much higher than average power level and or has abilities that are stronger than the average. They can also have unique abilities and features for the specific individual. Goldo's Time Stop psychic ability is an example of an ability that is unique to the individual, since most of his race cannot do this. We haven't seen a mutant variant for every race in the series. We haven't seen any mutant humans, for example, unless you count someone like Tien or Oob. But there's so many conflicting accounts of Tien's lineage, and Oob is the reincarnation of a bubblegum demon who also absorbed a god. So, it's hard to say. Now, you may find yourself asking, do Saiyans have a mutant variant? The legendary Super Saiyan transformation. Something that has many names it goes by: legendary Super Saiyans, legendary Saiyans, berserk Saiyans, rampaging Saiyans, true freaks. For the most part, I'm going to refer to them as legendary Saiyans or legendary Super Saiyans just to make it easier. So far, we've only ever seen one in Dragon Ball Z and two in Dragon Ball Super, one in Universe 6 and the other in Universe 7. This just goes to show how rare they are. These Saiyans are not outwardly unique when in their base form, but they are often born with a much higher power level that only increases with their age. Then when they transform into their Super Saiyan forms, they are able to access a completely unique form, one that also admittedly can vary by user. This form that they can access, regardless of the name, resembles Super Saiyan Grade 3 in appearance, but with a much higher power increase and no reduction in stamina or speed. Something else that this transformation can cause is their entire thought process and mindset changing into something darker. Now, there is a mention of the legendary Super Saiyan in the series from Vegeta and the others, but this video will not be about that certain individual. This will exclusively be about those in Dragon Ball who can access the legendary Super Saiyan transformation. So, let's go through those individuals and see how they're similar and different. In the Dragon Ball Z movie Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, set roughly during the events of the Cell Saga, we are introduced to Broly. He is a Saiyan who, like Goku and Vegeta, escaped the destruction of planet Vegeta. In his base form, Broly is a tall, slender, and timid man. He is also shown usually looking pretty dour and not usually talking very much. This, however, is not who he actually is. See, to make a long story short, his father Paragus created a device which does two things. 1, places limits on Broly's power, and 2, gives him almost complete control of his mind, preventing him from enacting his murderous tendencies. Paragus, his father, is the only Saiyan that Broly has come into contact with for most of his life, but regards him as nothing special. We see through various flashbacks that Broly cares very little for anything other than himself and the destruction of everything around him. However, in this instance, it's not a unique trait of when he is in his transformed state. Immediately after being born, they scanned his power level to be 10,000, cluing the Saiyans and the audience in on his different nature than other normal Saiyans. If we compare that to another power level, Goku hit 8,000 in his fight against Nappa and Vegeta during the famously mistranslated scene. We see that Broly has 3 distinct transformations, 2 seen in Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, and an additional one seen in Broly Second Coming, the sequel. The The first form we'll be talking about is his restrained Super Saiyan form. During the events of the legendary Super Saiyan movie, we see when Broly tries to become a Super Saiyan, he cannot fully manifest the form. The reason being that Broly takes on this form because the mind control device is preventing him from becoming a full Super Saiyan. This causes the form to look completely different from a normal Super Saiyan, since while using restrained Super Saiyan, he grows taller, he gains this signature Super Saiyan blue eyes, and his hair spikes up more than his normal base form and begins to glow blue. He also gains the Super Saiyan aura. Is there a difference in terms of strength? No, not really. During the points in the story he uses this form, his power is so large that there is basically no difference in how effective it is. This basically acts as his Super Saiyan form during his first appearance. His durability also skyrockets as well. He doesn't even try and sell any of the attacks that he takes from Goku and Vegeta.
Kakarot! What the heck's a Kakarot?
In Broly's Second Coming, the direct sequel to Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, we are shown Broly's normal Super Saiyan transformation. We would have seen this transformation during the first movie if he wasn't being restrained by the mind control device. No mind control device, no blue restrained Super Saiyan. There isn't anything super special to this form. As I was saying originally, since his restrained Super Saiyan form was so powerful, they share a lot of the same qualities. We do see that Gohan, specifically in the Dragon Ball Z movies, is from right before the tournament part of the Buu arc. He is able to keep up with Super Saiyan Broly in his base form for quite a bit. This all goes out the door when Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form demolishes Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 transformation.
He's the one, the Saiyan of legend.
Broly's final transformation is into his legendary Super Saiyan form. To transform into this form, Broly has to literally burst through his old self like a shedding cicada, which is pretty freaking metal. While he is in his legendary Super Saiyan form, he looks very different to how he looked in his base form. He grows to like 9 feet tall and gains muscles so large, as far as I can tell, that his skin stretches to the point that it becomes lighter. His hair, now having a green tint, also now points up instead of being tied in a ponytail. His eyes become completely white, and he constantly wears an evil grin. This is where the resemblance to Super Saiyan Grade 3 comes from. While it might seem like he becomes more psychopathic in this form, I have to reiterate my earlier point that the calm demeanor we see in the beginning came from the mind control placed on him. While it may seem that Broly becomes more fierce and evil when transforming, it's actually that he is always evil. The legendary Super Saiyan mode is just something that gives him a power boost to accompany his evil nature. His power is astronomical in comparison to his base form. There's actually a surprising amount of contention and misunderstanding involving his strength as well. For a long time, so long in fact that even official media adopted this notion, it was believed that Broly in his legendary Super Saiyan form would just get stronger and stronger with no limit. Like, in terms of strength, he would start out at around Super Saiyan level, then surpass that to Super Saiyan 2 level, and beyond. We see this exact same thing happen in Dragon Ball Multiverse, a fan comic, where Vegeta first fought Broly in his base form, then his Super Saiyan form, and then his Super Saiyan 3 form, each time taking a bunch of damage and then slowly gaining back the upper hand against Vegeta. While Broly does have a large pool of energy, it isn't infinite and will not continue to grow stronger indefinitely. We actually see that during his first appearance, Broly has to expel the unnecessary energy when it becomes too much. The reason for this is because his body actually cannot hold the abnormal amount of energy he is constantly generating. He has to constantly shoot off ki blasts to expend that same energy. This is exactly the reason why the fight ends in the movie the way that it does. When Goku punches Broly during that final fight, he hits him directly where he was stabbed as a baby, the only weak spot that Broly has. This causes a chain reaction where all that excess energy inside him explodes, incapacitating him and almost killing him. The idea has become more and more muddied as the series has gone on, and it started as early as Broly's Second Coming. So, just to recap, Broly has 2 transformations that he can access, Super Saiyan and Legendary Super Saiyan. The restrained Super Saiyan form that he uses during his first appearance is not natural and only comes about due to the mind control device he has on. Now, let's move on to the next Legendary Super Saiyan. Kale is a Saiyan from Universe 6 and the counterpart to Universe 7's Broly. We are actually introduced to her in Dragon Ball Super during the lead up to the Tournament of Power. Personality-wise, she is timid, frail-looking, and she's always refraining from looking other people in the eye. Caulifla, Kale's friend, sister, leader, lover? I'm not exactly sure how to classify their relationship. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if there's anything else that could explain what's going on there. But Caulifla is the only person that Kale cares about deeply. Most of Kale's acts of determination and loyalty stem from impressing, seeking approval, or following Caulifla into her schemes. In the anime, we often see that it is Caulifla trying to instill confidence in Kale, and Kale trying to prove herself worthy of that praise. When Kaba, a fellow Universe 6 Saiyan, teaches Kale and Caulifla to become Super Saiyans, back tingles, Caulifla turns into a Super Saiyan. Kale, on the other hand, accesses the legendary Super Saiyan transformation. Universe 6 Saiyans have their own legend and call this form the Legendary Saiyan or Demon Saiyan. It is said that this appears every 1,000 years, very similar to the Super Saiyan legend of Universe 7. Kaba, being the first Super Saiyan in this universe, doesn't know what to do with Kale and her transformation. He's no match in strength for her, and so Caulifla has to come up with her own solution, and appeals to Kale's emotions in order to power her down.
Let's go. You will be my first blood sacrifice.
You might also see people refer to this as the Berserk Super Saiyan form. It is the form that Kale transformed to in her first transformation when attempting to become a Super Saiyan. When in her legendary Super Saiyan form, Kale becomes almost unrecognizable in both looks and mentality. She grows 2 feet taller in height, her muscles more than triple in size, her hair goes from black to yellow with a green tint, differing from the normal Super Saiyan yellow, her eyes become completely white, her skin becomes pale, which I have 2 explanations, one that is the light from her aura is giving it that look, or her skin is so stretched over her muscles that the pigment is not as concentrated. Kind of like how I talked about Broly, but I don't know if that's even really possible. The biggest change from her normal state to her legendary Super Saiyan form is her mindset. She's no longer timid, but instead confident, aggressive, and very homicidal. Her first words after transforming are her declarations that she wants to kill Kaba. When in this state, she becomes similar to a feral animal in the sense that she only wants to attack everything around her. She does still keep some semblance of consciousness, as she's able to direct this malicious intent somewhat to those she dislikes, and Caulifla is able to use Kale's loyalty to calm her down. With this transformation, she's easily stronger than Super Saiyan Blue Goku during the Tournament of Power, and is only stopped by Jiren during her rampage.
Let's do this.
Like Broly, she's also able to access a normal Super Saiyan form. In this form, she keeps her sanity and keeps her pupils. Her hair takes on a less intense appearance, and her muscle mass is not as extreme. She does still gain height and become more muscular than her base form. Her hair also keeps a slight green tint to it, still differentiating it from other Super Saiyan forms. This form is much weaker than her Berserk/Legendary Super Saiyan form, but with the advantage of being able to control herself, speak, and strategize, it does help make up some of the difference. Using this transformation, she had some trouble going against Goku in his Super Saiyan 2 form.
Right! Let's go! Sorry to keep you waiting this long, Caulifla.
A lot of media calls this form Super Saiyan 2. Plenty of video games use that naming scheme as well, but that is not exactly correct. That's why I've decided to use the Controlled Legendary Super Saiyan name instead. She's able to access a Controlled Legendary Super Saiyan form after Caulifla helps her contain the power of her Savage Legendary Super Saiyan form. So this becomes a mixture of her Super Saiyan form and her Legendary Super Saiyan form. Her transformations kind of lie on a scale where the more she uses the Legendary Super Saiyan power, the stronger she gets, but the less control she keeps. And the less power she uses, the more control she gets, but she's definitely not as powerful. Her hair keeps the green tint from her Legendary Super Saiyan form, she bulks up more than her regular Super Saiyan form, and she gets to keep her pupils again. She also doesn't show any changes in her personality while using this form. She's able to hold her own against Super Saiyan God Goku in this form. This lands her with 3 transformations after base: Legendary Super Saiyan, and Controlled Legendary Super Saiyan. Each of these uses at least a little bit of the Legendary Super Saiyan energy, and we can tell because of that green tint. But they all have vastly different power levels. In the movie Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is canon at the time of this video, we become aware of our second legendary Super Saiyan of the Dragon Ball Super timeline, Broly. The showcase he's given in Dragon Ball Super is very different, yet similar to his Z counterpart. Again, Broly is a Saiyan who escaped Planet Vegeta like Goku and Vegeta, and again he is stronger than all the other Saiyans at that time. Broly in Dragon Ball Super is kind of a mutant among mutants. He has the legendary Super Saiyan transformation, which is already a mutation in itself, but he has another power that seems to be unique to him. In appearance, this Broly looks very similar to Z Broly, with his hair being more unkempt and wild due to his new backstory, and he has scars on different parts of his body. He does still have that timid demeanor that accompanied the mind-controlled Broly from Z. The biggest change comes in his clothes that he wears. He wore a very primitive type of clothing in the beginning of the movie, and then switched to the standard Frieza Force uniform for the remainder of the movie. He also always wears the ear of his previous pet around his waist, as to not forget their friendship. In this timeline, Broly was again born with an extraordinary power level when only a child. This prompted King Vegeta to send Broly away where he could cause no harm to the Saiyans. Paragus, Broly's father, and him lived out for almost 40 years on the horrible remote planet Vampa. He is found by Frieza and taken to fight Goku and Vegeta, since at the moment Frieza was too weak to do it himself. We briefly see that Broly is able to utilize this transformation after first arriving on Vampa. This is different from the other two times that we've seen a legendary Super Saiyan. Broly from Z had a tail at some point, so it's theoretically possible that he could have become a Great 8 at some point, but we never see it. And Kale, the Saiyan from Universe 6, has never had a tail, so she would have never been able to access this form. This is where the second power kicks in and shows us why he's a double mutant. So, the moons in Dragon Ball give off what are called blood waves. We don't know much about it, but we do know that this allows Saiyans to access their Great Ape transformation. As long as a Saiyan has their tail, they can absorb blood waves into their body to become a Great Ape. Broly did have his tail removed, but he can still use the blood waves from the moon of the planet he's fighting on to gain strength passively. Now, normally this would result in Broly's body becoming that of a Great Ape, but because he doesn't have a tail, he cannot use that transformation. Instead, his body passively absorbs more and more blood waves, which enhance all his attributes. In this form, Broly goes from being primal and being driven by instinct to becoming an unreasonable killing machine. He becomes completely overtaken by the need to fight and kill anything that is too close. His hair begins to stand on end, making it all point upward, and his irises become yellow instead of black or blue. His strength skyrockets continuously for a while, allowing someone who was on par with Vegeta at base form to take a hit from Vegeta in his Super Saiyan God state without any reaction. As a disclaimer, in the Broly movie, this transformation is paired with his Ikari form. This is not always needed to transform into Super Saiyan, but that's what we see. Broly transforms into his Super Saiyan form after his father is killed by Frieza. The process is shown to be extremely damaging to his psyche, and it's shown through his eyes breaking apart. He keeps a lot of the same characteristics from his Ikari form, but with the normal Super Saiyan hair color and pupilless eyes. Yes, he does not have a slight green tint to his hair when in this normal Super Saiyan form, neither in the anime or the manga. His strength is largely increased as he's able to fight against an even best base form Gogeta during their fight. He's also able to continuously maintain the form, fighting Frieza for an extended period of time and then battling Gogeta afterward. This form is exclusive to the anime movie at the time of this video being recorded. Officially, it is called Full Power Super Saiyan, but it is indeed the legendary Super Saiyan transformation. We know this because of the green colored hair. His Super Saiyan form is pushed to the absolute limit when transforming into this form. He's able to achieve it after fighting and being pushed back by Super Saiyan Gogeta. He now grows even more than his two previous forms, and his muscles increase in mass dramatically. He becomes very disproportional in his muscle size and is so much larger than Gogeta, he's almost double Gogeta's height and triple Gogeta's width. This form again resembles Super Saiyan Grade 3 as it is bulky and the hair is slightly similar. This form is powerful enough to overtake Gogeta in his Super Saiyan form and force Gogeta immediately to change into Super Saiyan Blue to counteract. Now, this form is weaker than Gogeta in his Super Saiyan Blue form, but he is able to take blow after blow by Gogeta while still coming back after to attack him.
Thank you very much. I am grateful.
This form is manga exclusive at the time this video is being recorded. Broly is able to achieve this form after training with Goku and Vegeta for an extended period of time, and after hearing Gohan's explanation for going into his beast form. He actually uses that process to help him gain more control over his berserk state. There isn't much known about this form as it is only used once at the time of this video being recorded, but we can assume that it's similar to the controlled legendary Super Saiyan form that Kale takes. In the colored versions of the manga, he's shown to have that green tint to his hair, but unlike Kale, he has green eyes as well. This form is presumably used without the Ikari transformation stacked on top of it, as Broly doesn't grow much, if at all, in size. Broly uses this form in a fight against Gohan where he is able to temporarily match blows with Gohan's beast transformation. So, that's all the legendary Super Saiyans that we know of in canon. Normally these legendary Super Saiyans burn bright, but fade soon. Their power is almost always too much for them to handle, and they usually die due to their inability to control it. In the case of all the people in this video, there was always someone there to help out in cases where things were headed in that direction. Kale had Caulifla, and to a lesser extent Kaba. Broly had Paragus and Z, and he had Goku and Vegeta in Super. There was always someone there to help control that power, which allowed them to live and become part of the story. I think that's a good moral to leave the video on. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to beat the shit out of someone stronger than anyone else around you. Anyway, that was the video. Please let me know if you liked it and who your favorite legendary Super Saiyan was. Thank you to my friend whose favorite character is Broly and who got to meet Vic Mignogna and made me jealous because he kept rubbing it in. If you're watching this, you were the inspiration for this video. I'll probably send it to you. If you don't like the legendary Super Saiyans, who's your favorite Saiyan then? Or maybe, what's your favorite race in Dragon Ball if you don't like any of them? I do want to thank everyone again for the reception to the Jack and Daxter video I put out. I didn't think it would do as well as it did, and I was so pleasantly surprised. I'm also reiterating my surprise to see the channel past 500 subscribers and now almost 600 subscribers. Something I never thought was possible. So I thank each and every one of you. I'm going to try and do something special, so maybe give me some suggestions on what to do in the comments. Thank you. And remember, if you're not toasted with toasted mushroom, then you're just baked.